That's exciting.
So the name 1625 Independent People is interesting. Young people wanted us to be called Independent People because they thought we were supporting them to become independent people. A board member wanted us to be called 1625. And after 2 hours of a merger meeting, I said we'd be called 1625 Independent People and I'd change it within a year. And it stuck.
I joined SBYHA in 1990 and I was a housing worker there for 6 years until 1996. In 1990, youth services in the city were really different to how they are now. There was a network of youth centres all over the city. But what we found was that very often we were working with young people who really struggled to fit into some of those youth centres and what they were offering. So they still slipped through the net.
There just wasn't anywhere for people to go. And now it's even worse. Rents are very, very high. It must be virtually impossible for a young person who's getting thrown out of home to find a place to live.
There was a lack of shared housing, so I was going out and working with young people to try and bring them into the housing we had because there's a lot of sofa surfing going on. And I think over the period of time I worked with Priority Youth Housing South Bristol for 7 years, and the housing changed. We got a lot more housing, there was more funding for that. And so we were able to support people in their housing, in new housing, learn the skills. You know, they didn't have life skills. They were coming out of either really out of home care without any life skills, probably really similar to today, but it felt you were really a trusted adult to help introduce people, young people, to living independently.
When I first got involved in South Bristol Youth Housing, we were just a committee. We didn't have any properties. We just had an ambition, and we met in a library that was drafty and cold, Marksbury Road Library in South Bristol. We didn't know if we were ever actually going to achieve anything, and so it was a sort of leap of faith to meet every month without much prospect.
It's interesting to look at the changes in the organisation between now and when it started, and also the mission. The mission's the same, to prevent youth homelessness, to keep young people safe, and to work with them on their strengths to make them as independent as possible into the future.
They enable young people to go on and to do better with their lives. I guess, in essence, it's an organisation that I think puts young people at the centre of what it does.
Certainly in the last 20 years or so has been just so progressive and interesting and always on the edge of thinking what needs to happen next.
I think 1625 has really established itself as sort of like a market leader, as being one of the organisations that people want to go and visit and see and learn about when they're looking at these sorts of services and replicating what they do.
It's not just focused on like, okay, they've got somewhere to live, they're getting their money and like that's it. Like there's so many more involvement things that are happening and trying to get young people involved in more things. Again, that focus on like having the young people's voices heard, I think has also been really important, and I think that's a really big standout quality.
Constantly developing and checking in with the young people and what they want, and how do we make that accessible? How do we make ourselves better? How do we develop? It's an ongoing thing. I've never worked in an organisation that's always it's always in your face about how can we improve this, how can we improve that.
I think the happiest memories are of some recent conversations I've had with people who used to be young people in our accommodation, and their stories of how supportive and life-changing the time that they spent in our accommodation, the support that they got from us as staff, but also from their housemates, is what makes the work so important and so gratifying.
There are hundreds of young people, maybe thousands of young people who have come through 1625. It's stabilised their lives and given them a platform to actually be very productive contributors to the wider community.
Yeah, I guess when things were tough and you can't really see a way out, it was nice to know that I had like 110% support from pretty much every single member of staff here. In terms of just like signposting me to things, the odd conversation here and there, and just the continuous support and like like positive push to just keep going. They just remind me of who I was, what I enjoy, what I love to do, the things I want to learn and like upskill on, and they just like sent everything my way, and yeah, things pretty much worked out.
It felt really good at the time because I needed the support. When I walked through the doors, obviously I needed a place to stay, and the support worker was able to kind of walk through everything with me. And I was feeling a bit anxious, but obviously once we kind of got the ball rolling, I was at ease and I was really, really calm, and I was able to get accommodation through 1625. At the moment, I'm running a security company, and obviously we have a sister company which kind of does cleaning. 1625 kind of started for me because obviously it started off with a place to stay. And that's kind of where I was able to start my life. And I was able to kind of apply for jobs. I had a place where I can call my own, and that's kind of where my life started from. And that's why it was, without them, I wouldn't have been able to kind of get to where I'm at now. So, yeah.
The future for 1625 is really exciting. It's amazing that we've brought together partnerships, as I've said, with businesses, local authorities, trusts and individuals. We've just joined with the Youth Education Service, and we're delivering functional skills, English and maths to young people who have been outside of the education system. And I've seen some system change that needs to go on in the education system for those that are struggling. So it's a changing world around youth homelessness, and we really need to concentrate on prevention. When I think of everyone involved in this video and everyone at the 40th celebration, I'm just so proud of everything we've all done together to help solve and prevent youth homelessness. When I started, no one we support was born, and we'll go on in the future to support the generations to come. Well done, everyone.
Yeah, happy birthday to 1625, and I'm really proud to have been within 10 years of those 40 years been working here. You're all doing an incredible job. We all are doing an incredible job.
I mean, happy birthday, 1625. I think you guys know how much you mean to me. You pretty much, I mean, you've saved my life. I mean, everything you do is amazing and brilliant and groundbreaking, and you just change young people's lives for the better.
Thank you massively for all you do. Whether you're a young person who's accessing services, who may be supporting other people in your housing environment or in the different groups that you're part of. For the staff who are working in such a committed way, you're brilliant. And the leadership team in holding the bigger picture, keeping commissioners to account.
I mean, happy birthday, 1625. 40 years is a long time, and I think there are probably thousands of young people that you've supported so far, which I think is incredible. And everyone that works at 1625, I think you're all doing an absolutely amazing job. And for all the young people, I think you're all doing an amazing job as well.
Well, in all honesty, I hope that youth homelessness very soon ends and that puts you out of business. But sadly, I don't think that's going to be the case. So on your birthday, I want to say happy birthday. Well done for all the work that you've done, and please carry on doing the great work that you've been doing for so long.
All of the staff, you just do an amazing job, and you care and you make things happen, and you try to make things happen in the best possible way. And you haven't always had the right resources, and I really want to thank you for what you do. And for the young people, go for it. You can get out of this and you can make your way in the world.